Today I'm going to be showing you how to install our do-it-yourself step drain flap. This is what it looks like when you purchase it on the website. And this right here, this piece of vinyl, is going to represent the bottom of the entrance step of your inflatable. You just want to make sure to do this while your inflatable is deflated and flatten out the bottom of the step, and you'll follow along with the rest of these steps. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pair of scissors and I'm going to round the corners of this patch. It's easier for a corner to peel off on a patch than a rounded corner, so this just helps make the patch last a lot longer. So now that it is trimmed, I am going to trace around the edges of the patch where I want to patch it onto the inflatable. I'm just using a erasable white pencil that can be erased off of the vinyl, or you can just use a pencil or a pen or whatever you like to use. Okay, now the perimeter of the drain flap is traced. Now the second thing I'm going to trace is the inside of this flap. So I'm going to open it up, and while it's still inside that traced area, I'm also going to trace this square that is open right here. This way we won't glue in this area because it's unnecessary to glue it down, since we are actually going to be cutting this open once we glue this patch down. So you can close the flap back. Now I'm going to get our vinyl cement glue that's also available on the website, and we're going to start gluing this to the inflatable. I'm going to put this aside and I'm going to start right here. You're just going to take the glue and cover the traced area. You don't have to apply a very thick coat of glue, but you want to make sure that every area is covered. And it is okay to go a little bit outside the lines. That actually does help the patch last longer so that none of the edges peel. This is a clear glue and it will dry clear, so it won't hurt it if you overlap a little bit. Same with this inside area. I'm going to overlap it just slightly so that every area is covered with the glue. It's important though not to completely cover the inside area of this square, because we don't want to glue down the flap that's supposed to open up on the deflation flap. So now I'm going to do the same thing to the patch. I'm going to flip it around to the back side and I'm going to cover this area with glue. Same thing, you want to make sure to cover the edges of this patch so that none of the edges come up and peel after you patch it down. Okay, now both halves are covered in glue. You actually don't want to apply the glue immediately. You want to wait for it to dry. It'll get a little bit cloudy and a little bit of a tacky texture, and that's when you want to apply it. So I'm actually going to fan it down a little bit until it gets tacky, and then we'll apply it. Okay, now it's ready to apply. So I'm just going to follow the area that I traced to put the patch back down onto the inflatable. And just take your time while you're doing this to make sure it matches up with the lines you already made. Then you're just going to want to flatten it as much as you can, and if you're worried about the center flap getting glued down, you can just open it up while it's drying. You can see here none of this area is covered in glue, just the edges, and I'm going to hold this down for about 5 to 10 minutes until it completely dries. You want to make sure to keep pressure all over the patch while it's drying to get the best effect. When you're confident it's done drying, you can check all the edges and make sure they're all glued down. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the inside of this flap and take our seam rippers that are available in our repair kits, or you can just use a pair of scissors, and I'm going to cut a flap on the inside. And this is on the Moonwalk itself. As you're cutting, you want to just turn the corners smoothly, just like how we had a round corner on the corners of the patch. If you have round corners on the vinyl, it will last longer as well. And then that is what it looks like when it's done, so that you can open up the flap and make sure the inside of your step always stays dry and mold free.